Welcome to a little introduction video for our Introduction to Liberty 3-day clinic. We're going to be putting this up for our first one as well as for future clinics, so we'll be referencing you guys to this video, and we greatly look forward to having you join us. I'm here with Colton, and he's going to be helping me teach you guys and get you guys started on the Liberty work when you guys get to come join us and we get to work together. I'm just going to give you guys a few exercises that'll get us best prepared for the clinic. That way, when you guys come, 3 days is a very short time to put a foundation in for the Liberty stuff, and it's going to be a busy weekend. So we want to make sure that we've got some of the stuff ironed out as best we can before you get here. So we're not working on so much basic stuff such as behavioral issues, and we can actually work on the Liberty work that you guys are here to work on. So one of the things that I want to make sure is that Liberty work is very much works off of a draw, is having your horse come to you and stay with you. So when we're working with our horses, we want to make sure that before we start drawing them towards us, that they're actually respectful of our space. Because you will find that the horses will get very close, and that's great. We want them to be that close because that's the draw we're looking for. But we also don't want them to we don't want to be drawing horses on towards us that already want to run us over. So if you have a horse that is pretty pushy, then you go reference some of our other groundwork videos that we have on YouTube. But also, you can do some basic stuff like backing your horse up or asking your horse to step their shoulders around, so that this is something that they end up yielding. There you guys' feet a little tangled up there. But something like that ends up, something is basically that working with your horses will make sure that they're respectful of your space, and so that if I want to stand over here, Teton's not really worried about following me around and being right in my back pocket, but he's comfortable being in his own space. One of the things I want to make sure that before you guys come is that your lateral flexion with your horses is really good. We're going to do a little bit of halter work. So if I was standing here right at my horse's shoulder, just something as basic as being able to pick up on this lead rope and bend your horse's head around. We want our horses to be super soft on the halter because we're going to have to use that in some of our groundwork. And so I'd ask him just to bend around. And, you know, initially you might release as soon as they get soft. This is a basic colt starting thing, but over time then I'm going to pick up the amount of time that I can hold it. See, he's just staying right here, and when I give, he takes his head back. So we want to make sure we do that on both sides. My hand is coming probably right above his shoulder blade here, and you can do it as low. Some folks will do it to the back of the elbow. So I also try to simulate riding them, so my hands will come up here to the back center of their withers where my hands will be if I'm riding. So lateral flexion, make sure you've got that pretty solid, because when we get into some of our halter work, then that's what we're going to be talking about. Now, I'm going to go ahead and turn him loose, because if you guys have a round pin at home, this is going to be super handy for you guys, because we're going to, a lot of the horses that come in, the vast majority of them will start with them turned loose. And that's how we're going to start developing the draw. Now, when you have your horse in a round pen, some people will turn their horses in here, and those horses will take off and bronc around and whatever. That's fine if they want to stretch their legs, but we don't need them actually being disrespectful. We don't want them just thinking when they come to the round pen they have to go 90 miles an hour for 45 minutes. We want them to go, he might try to stay close initially, but I'm going to drive him out around the pen and see how he walks off very nice and calmly. That's what we want your horses to do. We want them to be able to go through, and this is going to be a very basic colt starting concept if you've seen some of those videos, is that we want to dictate the direction that they travel. We want to also, then once we say, hey, they can travel to the left, then we'll ask them to travel at a walk, a trot, and a canter, and we'll start to ask them to change directions towards us. So he's super calm here. I might step out in front of him, see if I can get his attention. Of course, he looks to the outside. Here he comes. As he starts coming towards me, I'll draw back on him. So that's just the basics to get started. But for this, you guys, I want you guys to focus on getting your horses to go in the round pen and them be in a working mindset. He's like, no, these horses, the Liberty horses will learn that. You'll see he tries to stay with me. I'm going to send him out though, and there I straighten my arm out, excuse me, and sent him to the edge of the round pen. And there's a lot of separation. The Liberty horses learn that when they're next to you, it's not as much work. And so here, I'll just ask him to trot. He's like, but see, he moved out. He moved a little quick for my liking, but he still moved out. He didn't kick out behind. He didn't really give me attitude or anything like that. And so here, I want to be able to work my horse at all gaits. We're going to keep this pretty brief for you guys. And so here, I clucked to him because I've been working on developing his draw. So I clucked to him for him to keep that momentum as he comes towards me. But for you guys, what would be really helpful is if you're able to work with your horses in the round pen and get them to where they're calm, they're calculated, they move at a walk, trot, and a canter, and they're not really giving you too much grief. So I'll give you a little preview as to what we're going to be working on with your horses with him real quick. And then if you guys have any questions at any point, be sure to send us a message and we'll be glad to get you ironed out. But this 3-day clinic, we're going to be working on developing the basics of a Liberty circle where they're working around you. Every horse is a little bit different. And so we'll be working on changes of direction, and we'll be working on these horses moving around you. And there's going to be several different principles. Another task that's going to be super helpful that your horses need to be able to do is that your horses need to be able to tie. So they need to be able to be tied up to a wall or something like that, because we're going to do something called mark training, and the part of that process is we start them on the wall and then we take them off the wall and we work with them in hand afterwards. So if your horses have good lateral flexion and they lead well, chances are the biggest problem you might have is your horse is impatient and your horse might sit there and paw and carry on. Leave them tied up, they'll be fine. So, but here I'll just ask him to go around again. When you get to the trot work, it might seem really basic, but this takes a lot of time to get them to where it's all pressure. It's them dealing with pressure and understanding that they can stay right here. And so you'll notice when we get into the clinics that the clinics are all day. You'll work with your horses multiple times. It's not like a normal horsemanship clinic where they come out for 3-hour spurts. Ooh. 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 There you go. All right, guys, there's a little sneak peek. We're about to get rained out here, but we're looking forward to having you join us for the Liberty Clinic. And I know Teton's going to be right along so that you guys can get a feel for what it feels like when you go to work a horse that kind of has an idea of what they're already doing. If you have any questions, be sure to let us know, send us a message, and we'll be glad to help you guys. See you soon.